Hello everyone, welcome on in. It's a new week here on the Betting Weekly Studios, which begins to start each week with a trip into the Betting Weekly Dojo, your look at the world of sports betting, answering your questions, any thoughts, any processes to make you a better and more successful gambler. And joining me as per usual is my co-host, it's professional gambler Neil Channing. Before I introduce you, Neil, as I do every start of every single week, I ask you please hit the subscribe button, hit the like, give us a comment. Lots of comments in the last couple of weeks, giving us some topics you'd like to talk about, some questions for us, which Neil's going to delve into later on in the podcast and answer those questions as well. So keep them coming. And most importantly, please hit that subscribe button. Last week, we asked you to do it. You did. You subscribe to the channel. And that's very, very important to us to keep doing all this stuff that we are doing for you to make you more a successful gambler here on what is one of the fastest growing sports betting YouTube channels. Anyway, that's that. Housekeeping out of the way. Good morning, Neil. And we are coming to you at a very early Sunday morning today. This podcast will drop on Monday, but it's actually being recorded on Sunday because of my travel problems tomorrow. So, Neil, good morning to you on Sunday. And thanks for getting up nice and early.
Oh, it's all right. I'm an old geezer, aren't I? I get up early all the time. But it's international break, isn't it? So I just take like zero interest in the soccer on international break normally. But you just fly around the world to watch England. Jeez, you must be crazy.
I'm lucky because we had a home match on Thursday. Went to see them play Wales, which was everyone's complaining about the.
Was that in Wales or?
No, that was at Wembley.
I don't even know what the score was. That's how much.
England won 3-0. Three goals after 20 minutes.
Blimey.
Nothing else for the entire.
Was it a good game? Are Wales rubbish at football?
They're not the greatest of nations. The crowd were great, and the passion of the national anthem was always great to listen to. And the Welsh sing the national anthem. But
did you have a sing along with the Welsh boys?
I enjoyed it much more than the boring version of God Save the King.
You love a sing along, don't you?
I do. But I did enjoy the Welsh passion, but it was eliminated after 90 seconds when they went 1-0 up.
Is it Latvia they're playing on Monday?
We are flying tomorrow morning at 6:40, leaving here at 6:15 in the morning. We're flying at 9:40, I think it is, and we're heading to Latvia. Five of us going to Latvia.
Wow. Have you been there before?
Never been. I'm looking forward to it. Riga.
And what price are England to win in Latvia?
Oh, I haven't looked actually. They've got to be 12 on. 14.
Oh, okay. So it's not even like you can have a bet on it to pay your expenses.
Well, we will. We will definitely have a bet. And the bet
You'll definitely have a bet, but you're not going to have a 12,000 to win one.
I wouldn't have a 12,000. That's not my kind of bet. I wouldn't be betting 12,000 to win anything.
But if they were sort of, I don't know, even money, and you're going on an away leg somewhere, would you kind of
400 quid to cover expenses?
400 quid to pay the expenses.
Yeah, that's the plan. 16 on England.
So what does that make them on the handicap? Like 4 goal favourites or something?
I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
I
think
they're
probably.
When
it's
it
international football
high,
because
it's hard to remember. Internationals as well. The other team doesn't score very much.
I much prefer England to win to nil, which they've done in every single. They haven't conceded yet. You can bet England at 2-5 to win to nil. A little bit too short, but minus 250 there. England to win to nil would be my advice. Latvia coming in fresh on a 2-2 home draw against Andorra. So I don't think England would be having so much fun.
It's a qualifier, is it? It's like they're playing for something.
It's World Cup qualifier. It's a tiny little stadium. I think this holds 10,000, but it's an old Eastern European stadium, Eastern Bloc European stadium, where they've got the running track and you're miles away from the pitch. And I love an old fashioned football stadium with a running track. Like it's like like if you watch the film Escape to Victory, the pictures of it look like Escape to Victory. So it's I'm looking forward to do it. Never been. It's another European country to tick off the box.
2 and 3/4 they are on the Asian.
Yeah, handicap. I think that'll be seen lower. Obviously, international football, you won't go wrong by just betting England in 2, 3, 4-0. Really.
Yeah.
They'll get the job done. But and then fly back on Thursday. The land Monday. But they've got this new thing now where you've got to everywhere in Europe now. Everyone who's travelling in Europe has to now give their fingerprints and their photos. When you get to customs,
they must have yours. Surely they've got yours already.
No, they haven't.
For obvious reasons.
They haven't got. That's obvious reason I travel a lot. But so now there's going to be carnage, and they happen to do it in Latvia the day the England football fans arrive. So it's going to be absolute carnage at the. So it was well worth the £80 upgrade. So I've upgraded. I've upgraded £80 to go business class purely and simply because you're first off the plane. And you're big first in the queue.
You basically are paying not to queue.
Exactly. And I think anybody, if that was an offer, I think a lot of people would do it. But the best thing about, well, the worst thing about it is when you go to these eastern or smaller airports, you get off your business class and you think, I'm going to avoid the queue. But the worst thing is you go off and you find one of them little coaches and it takes you to there. And it's a stampede off the coach to get to the passport control first. So if you've got a joining kind of thing where you can walk through, you've had it right off. You're right at the front. But if you've got those little coaches, it's no good. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Anyway, looking forward to that. So that's why we're filming this or recording this on Sunday. So we're going to talk about the NFL. We're going to talk about some incredible story in the world of tennis, which we're going to lead on in a minute. But obviously, this has been recorded before the action has happened. So we're going to talk about
before week 6 of the NFL and before the final of is it the Beijing Open?
It's the Shanghai Masters.
Sorry.
But this has thrown up what I believe is one of the most crazy. Well, I think it is the craziest story and the biggest story that I remember since I've been betting on tennis. Now, I've been betting on tennis probably since about 1995, I'd say. I think I started work as a odds compiler, doing a bit of tennis in about 97, 98, and I've never seen anything like what has happened this week in Shanghai. Now, obviously, let's give you a little bit of a background. It's been a long season. It's been a hard season. Sean Calvert comes on the show on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match.
Yeah, he looks older. He looks older by the day.
Well, we both do. But it's been a long season for the players, and obviously, at the end of the season, you get more shocks. Now, we expected some shocks in this tournament, and we went for some 66-1 shots and 40-1 shots that produced the shocks. But no, we had to go further down. There was a list of 100 people, 196 players in this draw.
Wow.
And the man who was the complete rank outsider of all the 96 players in the draw, a guy called Valentin Vachereau, I didn't even know his name. Valentin Vachereau.
Remember that name.
Was 1,000-1 outsider. He's 26 years of age. He came into the tournament as 204 in the world. He has only ever, in his career, which spanned since 2011, won one main level match. One in 2011 he started. He's been playing the Challenger Tours. He's only won one match.
14 years he's only ever won one main level match.
And he's from Monaco.
And he's 26. You'd have turned it in, wouldn't you? Well, actually, before 14 years. He was like 12 when he started.
2000, what year did he start playing? I may have read that wrong. 2014. Yeah. So that's 11 years. 11 years. So 15. 15.
You said he was, what did you say he was?
He's 26.
Well, that's 11 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah. 15.
Okay.
So 20, he only played 2 matches on the Challenger.
So he's basically lost money every year with all the travel and whatever, and the coach gets a share of every prize he wins.
But he's been winning tournaments and getting finals in Challenger events, and he's been trying to get in qualifications.
And this was one of those 1,000 events. So how many players are in the main draw of 1,000 event?
Well, I think this one, they're usually 96, but I think this one was a 64.
And how do they? Is it literally just if I fancy playing 1,000 event, I say I'd like to play that event, and they just take the 64 who are the highest ranked in the world?
No, he would have got in because there've been a lot of people who have pulled out.
Because it's the end of the year and it's in Shanghai and they can't be bothered. And
he would have got in through qualification, which means he would have had to win 2 qualification matches to get into the main draw. And every time he's ever got into a qualification match on a main draw, he's got beaten. But the only tournament he ever won a main level match was in Monaco, where he's from. He's from Monaco. So he played in Monaco. He got given a first round because he was a local player, the local number 1. Got it. He beat Jean-Leonard Struff last year at Monaco. So this week he's rocked up, complete outsider, 1,000-1 on the betting list. Well, he's won the first match. He's gone on and won the second match, come through qualification. This is quite good.
And give us the odds along the way. It was 2-1 in the first match, you told me.
So he was, well, the actual true price was 2.18. So he was 3.1 at this point. So we say 2-1 generally.
Yeah.
Then he came to play a guy called Bassavaretti. Then he played Draxel, where he was 11-10.
Yeah.
And then he went on to play, he was a little bit short now, but I think it was about pick on that one. Then he got into the first round where he got lucky. In the first round, he played a guy called Laszlo Jerry, who hasn't been in great form. He was like 1-2, so -$2. Then he was
favourite to win a game. He hasn't won a game.
He's
won one
favourite
game in 14 years, and he was 2-1 favourite.
Yep.
I mean, you must honestly, if you and Sean had previewed that match, would you'd have had to say, well, how could you bet this guy at 1-2? He's only ever won one match.
Well, I know full well that Sean wouldn't preview that match, and Sean would never bet anyone at 1-2 anyway. So that he would always be looking at the other opposite. But then he hit some seeds, and then he played Bublik, who he beat as a 5-2 underdog, plus 250. Mahak as a 2-1 shot. Then he beat Greek.
And these guys were like injured or not playing at their best or looked a bit hacked off at the end of the year.
They've all got sort of various issues, tired, long seasons, and he comes through in two of the matches. He lost the opening set against Greek Sport. He lost the opening set against Bublik. So
it's incredible, really. It is incredible.
Beats Holgaroon as 11-4 underdog.
I was actually in the bookies as the Rune match was finishing. I was just having a quiet peruse of the betting terminals, and it wasn't. I have to say, it wasn't the nicest betting shop I've ever been in. There seemed to be several homeless people that had moved in there. They had like tents in the corner. But the match was just finishing, and I was probably the only person that looked up at the screen to watch the last couple of points. And I saw the interview afterwards, and they sort of said, what an amazing story it was. I didn't really realise quite how amazing at the time, and I was actually thinking, oh, I forgot to look. I bet Sean's opposed Rune. He's always against Holger Rune. Did you guys look at that?
Leaned towards Vassaro, but he obviously didn't. There's no. How can you bet? Bet guys only one match, and he's like,
well, he's on the roll. He just won 4 on the bounce.
But then the best one, he beats Novak Djokovic. Now Novak Djokovic did have some injury concerns, but he
what price was Djokovic?
6 on, 7 on, minus 700.
Oh,
beats
my
Djokovic.
God.
So he's got to the final as 1,000 to 1 outsider. The story gets even better, Neil. So he gets to the final. He's 1,000 to 1 underdog. He's in the final today on Sunday. So by this time drops, we'll know how he got on.
Yeah.
But then in the other half of the draw, there's a guy called Artur Rindikanic, who's 500
who I have
to
heard
1.
of before.
Yeah. He's a decent player, but journeyman, 5th round, 50, 60 in the world. Well, he starts knocking out seeds, numbers 3 seeds, Zverev, Lehechka, Felix Auger-Aliassime, Daniel Medvedev. Now, he's been underdog in every one of his matches. 11-10, 2-1, 11-4, 9-4, 5-2, 2-1. Underdog in every single. He's won every single match.
Amazing.
He's produced one of the biggest stories as well. He was a pre-tournament 500 to 1 shot and 125 to 1 to win his quarter, which somebody yesterday posted me a betting slip.
They backed him to win the quarter.
And to win the tournament at 5 each way, at a £5 each way at 500.
Wow.
And he bet him to win the quarter, 125.
Amazing. Great bet.
Well played to that guy.
Yeah,
and then he gets
Good
to the
luck
final.
as well in the final.
And then the story gets even better. They're cousins.
Well, that is just ridiculous. I mean, this is like, you could make a movie out of this tournament.
It's the craziest story. People talk about Leicester City winning the Football League, win the Premier
Well,
League.
you told me, before we came on air, I was asking you about the prices. And we totted up the prices. And he came to just under 1,000 to 1 to make the final if you multiplied everything up. At the prices he went off, but obviously, if he's 45% to win the final?
Yeah.
So his true odds were closer to 2,000 to 1, which is kind of mad. The whole thing's mad.
It's unbelievable. And then to play this guy, I mean, what
and to play your cousin? Are they kind of quite good mates? I mean, a lot of my cousins I don't really see very often, or don't.
They went to college together in America, played college in America.
My word.
I mean, it's absolutely.
Yeah, I suppose if they're both professional tennis players, they're going to have seen plenty of each other over the years. That is amazing.
I mean, it's.
How much does he win if he wins the tournament?
Do you know what? That's exactly what I'm trying to Google. I think it's about. I think it's. What he said. $1.1 million.
And his second biggest prize
600,000. His biggest prize ever would probably be about 10,000.
Because in poker you have the Hendon Mob, which is a kind of a database of all poker players and what they've won. And it used to be years ago. It used to be very exciting to look at the thing and see you climbing up the rankings. But then they kind of ruined poker by starting to have 6 tournaments a week where the buy-in was 100,000 and only 30 people in the world were allowed to play in it and stuff like that. So the rankings are just kind of meaningless now. But I always used to look at that a lot, and you'd see people, you go, oh my God, that guy's suddenly come in, he's like the 14th highest winning money. And you'd look and he'd won one tournament because it was such a big event. And, you sort of wondered about people's lives when you read it. They'd sort of played for, that happened all the time in poker, played for 8 years, never won anything more than 6,000, suddenly won a tournament for like 2 million or something like that. But in tennis, where it's physically arduous and it's your actual job. In poker, you can understand somebody you can say, well, why did this guy keep on? In poker, you can understand it. They're going for a weekend away. They go and play a few tournaments, whatever. It's good fun. It's a hobby. And then one day they win something big. And, there's no, even if you never win anything big, you get something out of it. It's fun, whatever. But, I can't be much fun being a tennis pro and never winning one match in 14 years.
Do you know that will be me? No, let's just give you a little. So he's on the course to win 1.1 million if he wins it. 600,000 if you're finalist. His highest ever prize money ever.
Yeah,
24,000 euro. So
incredible.
That's about 24. That's not far off 24.
That was in that Monaco tournament.
Yeah. So you lose in the first round of Monaco, you get 24,000. You got 24,000. So he's now going to get 1.1 million. He can't have any coach or team that he's got to give them money. So he's going to pocket majority of that 1.1 million.
I mean,
do you know what? I'd give up. I'd just say that's
presumably his family have supported him. Yeah, but how does it affect him now? Is his world ranking going to shoot up?
As we're looking at his world ranking has gone from a pre-tournament. His career high ever was 110. He's moved 146 places in the world rankings. He's number 58.
So he'll get invited to lots of tournaments now, and he'll be automatically in. So his chance to earn money has just gone right up. Like if he just plays all the tournaments that he's already qualified for by his ranking next year and gets knocked out in the first match, he'll make a good living next year without winning a single match.
And his cousin Rinderknecht, who's now gone into the top, he's moved up 26 spots in the world. He's 28 in the world. If he wins the tournament, he moves into 22 in the world. His previous high ranking was 42, so he's moved up 26 spots. Now he's seeded now. He'll be seeded for the Australian Open.
Well, he's probably one to fade, isn't he? I mean, he's always been a journeyman. He's had a sort of fluky week.
These two, whoever they play next time out, are
that's
the absolute auto fades of all time.
Yeah, but
Vachereau will never win a match again this season.
They're not going to play next week, are they? Presumably they'll have to have a few weeks off.
Well, they'll both play Paris. They'll both play Paris at the last 1,000, and whoever these two play, they are going to have it large in Shanghai for the week.
It is, but just in terms of people might be wondering what the hell are these two going on about this 1,000-to-1 tennis player for so long, but it's just from a betting point of view. Like you said, Leicester City winning the league, they were 5,000-to-1. I mean, the books have it's amazing that you've turned somebody up. I haven't seen anyone posting on Twitter. You normally get someone posting on Twitter, look at this bet I had, I bet this guy. If someone's 100-to-1 and they're in the final, there's always some guy, posting his slip to say how great he is. It's going to be, I'm pretty sure Bet Rivers, if you ask them, will say, we didn't take a bet on either of these people.
No. But I actually bet Vachereau to beat Griekspoor in his match in round 16. I actually bet him at 11-8. So I took the plus 136 because I just thought that Griekspoor was a player that he looked absolutely exhausted. He's been very lucky. I mean, Griekspoor looked exhausted. Djokovic looked exhausted. Rune looked done. Bublik looked disinterested. Mahak, he played in the third round, pulled out injured in the second set. So he's been very fortunate, but he's still, and that's with a rebase. I mean, those odds, if he played a fully fit Novak Djokovic,
if you had to price up that match, if you said there's a match in 2 weeks' time between this guy and Novak Djokovic, you'd say he's 20-1, wouldn't you? Yeah, a fully fit Djokovic. Yeah,
it was slightly incredible. So that's we'll know the final of that. I mean, but that's probably the most remarkable story in tennis bet, and the fact that he plays his cousin, I just can't get my head around. That's 1,000-to-1 in itself.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. And there's sort of it's 55%, 45% with the 1,000-to-1 fella at 45% for the final, roughly.
And congratulations to the guy who sent me the picture.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. By the time he's watching this, he may have already won his money.
Exactly. I wouldn't mind having a few quid eating and going out on that party. Vacheron and Rindikovic's party tonight.
Amazing.
Fun.
Amazing.
American football this week. It's week 6, as you said.
It is week 6. Yeah, it's only a third of the way through.
Yeah,
well, somebody said, I think someone asked us a question earlier in the season to say, in the first couple of weeks, is it a good idea to not really have a bet at all? Well, I mean, there's only 18 weeks. I don't want to start missing weeks, really. But with hindsight, I definitely wish I hadn't have had a bet the first 2 weeks. Particularly week 2, I did really badly. I just actually did my figures, and I hit the front in week 4. It took week 3 was pretty good, and that got back all of the week 2 disaster, but it didn't get back the little bit I lost on week 1. And then week 5, I got in front, and so it's all right. Week 3 was good. Week 4 was very good, and week 5 was very good again. So it's all right now. We're okay, thank God. I had a look this week, and I not only have I had more bets this week, not like double the number, just like maybe 3 or 4 extra bets. But I'm staking more than double what I staked on week 1. And that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? We know a bit more about who's doing what. But I'm in that quandary now, Nigel. Last week I was moaning that I'd had a good week, and there was a couple of players where I'd sort of thought, I'll get that one down on Friday. I've not got time today, or I've got to try and get on with a different book. I need to call this guy. And suddenly, I'm betting over somebody's yards, and it's gone up by 4 yards. And then you're like, do I still take it? It's 10 to 11, 71.5. Now I've got to go over 75.5. What do you do in that situation? Do you just leave it, or do you? How big a difference would it have to be? I know you're not a big NFL punter, but in terms of the relativity of the numbers, you can see how much of a difference that is.
I always bring it back to the relevance in a total game for a tennis match. It was 40.5, and I want to bet him over 38.5, and I've got to go at 39.5 in the shorter price. I'd probably still bet the over, because it's very rare it's going to hit on 39.
Well, that's the thing, because obviously, if you're, say, in NFL, say I'm playing a handicap, and and I miss, 2.5, and now it's 3, and I want to take the favourite. Well, that would put me off, because obviously 3 is a key number, and obviously in tennis games, you do have some numbers that come up more than others. But if I'm looking at like a player's rushing yards or a player's receiving yards, there's no difference between 69 and 71. Clearly, there is a difference. 71's higher than 69, and in the day when it finishes on 70, it's very annoying if you went over 71.5 instead of 69.5. But none of those numbers are way more likely to occur than the other ones. So it's just I never know what to do in that situation. What should I do, Nigel? I've got 3 this week.
I think you go in, because I think you've got to bet them. And also, you're going to get probably a little bit better price as well if you're going 1 up or 2 up.
No, there's one. I'll tell you who it is, because if anyone watches this before the match, you can still be on. So this match is in one of the second lot of games on Sunday. The 49ers against Tampa. Now, I've been betting over Christian McCaffrey receiving yards. Generally, I think I've done that 3 times this season already. And it's a pretty strong bet for me to go over. But the early line was 49.5, and I missed it. So I lay $1.10. Well, now the general line is now 52.5, but you've got to lay 125. Now I can lay 110 and bet over 54.5, which is 5 higher than the opening one. Or I've actually found a book that have 52.5 $1.15 instead of the general 125. Now I just these things just wind me up so much. I think I'm going to do the over 54.5 at 110. But I'm tempted to just leave the whole thing. I don't know. What would you do?
Yeah, 54.5. Yeah, we're going with the 54. Have you been? You see, he's a player that you've done most of the season. Has he been cashing for you?
Yeah, he's been doing
And has
really
he been
well, which is
cashing
probably why I should have realised the line was going to get smashed. He's
But has he been
cashed
smashing? Has he
Yeah,
been
he's been
smashing the
cashing at
line?
half time.
Well, yeah. I mean, we got to go over 64 and a half then, Neil. What are you doing?
I don't know why. I don't know why I waited. Really, it was just because it was one of the later games. I just had so many bets to get on this week, and I've been a bit busy with other things as well. So that's really annoying. But I have like 3 like that. So yeah, I don't know. I know whatever I do, I feel like I'm going to do it wrong, and it's just because it's that would be. Let me see. I think just looking through my list, I've got 4 bets this week. No, is it? No, sorry, I've got 3, 4, 5. Oh God, I've got 7 bets this week. That would be equal to my biggest bet of the season. So that's how much of a big week it is for me. That would be one of them, Christian McCaffrey. I don't want to give you all of them because I don't want anyone to any of my outs to know it's me. So,
I think it's a good idea to record this on Sunday rather than Monday morning because it could be a very different mood or a very happy
gloomy.
Channing.
It could be gloomy, or there could just be a microphone there with a little sign on it saying "Gone on holiday."
Absent.
Yeah.
I had a bet yesterday. Well, it was right up there with yours. It didn't work out for me, but I had a Schneider each way double yesterday on the horses.
Yeah.
And I know you'd love me for it, but the first one obviously come fourth in the third, but it hit the fence at last. It was cruising in second.
You were on the jumps racing as well.
One of them was jumps, one was flat.
States.
No, one of them was jumps, one was flat. Hit the fence on last way out. Was about minus 5,000 to finish in the top 3, and then got run out of the place by 2 massive price shots. Yeah, and then the other one should have won actually. It veered all over the track and come third, but it was one of them bets. You looked at it, I'm going to definitely collect something on it, and I did. Unfortunately, it was a lot less than I put on. But
those each way, dirty each way ones for American viewers or Canadians or anyone that doesn't live in the UK, because we don't have separate win and place pools or separate odds for win and place on horses. We have each way where the place part is determined by the price of the win, and it's like either a quarter or a fifth of the odds generally of the win. Sometimes you get an advantage if you on the place part because the two don't correlate very well. And the books absolutely hate it when you parlay up 2 of those ones where you've got the correlated advantage. I've been slung out of many a place for attempting to try one of those bets. I don't do so many of those anymore. I find they're so poisonous. People hate you for them.
Well, I sent my mate into the shop. So
that's always the best way.
He's been having like $5 football parlays, and yesterday had a £400 each way up. So I'll do it for you. I don't think he realised the repercussions that might happen when he goes back into that.
He's now barred from his local.
I think he's in trouble.
Now, we had some questions last week, and we didn't manage to finish all of them. So one of them I thought was particularly interesting, and I wanted to ask you this question, and I haven't tried this in advance on you, so I don't know what your answer is going to be. Nigel, are you a value better? And how do you understand that question?
Well, I think the word value is what you deem value to be compared to other people's value. We've had this conversation about value betting before. I always say that I'm not the most successful winning punter, but I do think if I look back at the bets I do, there's always a reason and a justification for why I've done them. And I've had some really bad beats along the years, but I would do the same bet again. So that must mean that you have the value. I mean, I bet, most of the things we bet on this show or the stuff we bet on the tennis, you're going to get the value because there's a following of betting on the tennis that we bet that it's more than likely the odds are going to go in our favour and against our favour. So from that perspective, we are value bettors.
So you're talking there about closing line value.
Yeah,
you beat the final odds when the match, the first knock-up starts. You've beaten the price.
We've beaten the price, and then so that would deter, and we know that the price we're going to bet is going to shorten because of the reasoning that Sean puts on or the reasoning I put on sometimes. So the odds are going to shorten because we read the market right, but then we still got to get the result that we want. So I would look at our bets this season on the tennis, for example, on the channel. If you think about it, I reckon we've probably had 40 weeks of the season, maybe 10 bets a week. So 400, 500 bets on the channel, but we're dead flat level. But out of those 400 or 500 bets, I would say that 80% of them have got the value on the closing line. So we haven't got the results that we deserve. So yes,
so you think
I think
that
we are value betters, but unfortunately this season we haven't been winning betters, and I think you need that little bit of luck to come.
Well, that's just
season.
the volatility, isn't it? If a lot of people would say if you beat the closing line, then you're getting value, and in the long run you'll win. I mean, I think the definition of a value better is quite simple, actually. I think you're having a value bet if you bet something that goes off at bigger than the price that it should be, bigger than its true chance of winning. The problem is, how the hell do you know what the true chance of something winning is? And the only way you can determine what the true chance of something winning is by, experience, and in the long run, looking at your results and analysing them. People that say, well, the true chance of it winning is whether it wins or not. That's not really the right way of looking at it. I sometimes see people online saying, well, what's the point of betting an 8-1 loser, plus 800 loser, plus 900, plus 900 loser. If you could bet a plus 150 winner, why, isn't it better just to back a winner rather than saying, well, I've had value? And also, I see other people getting confused the other way. They sort of say, well, how can that be value? Because it's only plus 150. It's a short price. And, I bet something at 20-1. It didn't do any good, but I had the value. And we've talked in the past about favourite long shot bias, and we know that if you blindly bet favourites, you'll lose less quickly than if you blindly bet outsiders, because the market is much more efficient in the way it prices favourites than it is in the way it prices outsiders, and outsiders tend to be offered at well under their true odds. So if you are a value better and you tend to bet things in the sort of 8 to 20-1 region, you're already having to fight against favourite long shot bias in order to find value. Whereas if you're a value better who bets in the even money up to 3-1 region, you've got less of a disadvantage in sort of battling against favourite long shot bias. So I actually think you can be a value better and be a person who bets favourites. I don't see a distinction there, but I think the definition is just literally what price you make it, what price are you getting, is the price that you're getting bigger than the price you think it ought to be in the long run? And if you can spot opportunities like that and keep backing them, well, then you're a value better. And I think anybody that's trying to make a living out of it, or anyone that's making a profit out of betting, is by definition a value better. The only way you could make a profit out of betting without betting value is if you just fluke it in one big bet and then never really have any other bets. Like if you're consistently betting things at worse than the true chance of them happening, well, you're going to lose. That's if you play roulette and you bet red or black, and you're just getting paid out even money when it should be just a little bit bigger, you're going to lose money in the long run. But if somebody offered you 5-4 on red or black plus 125, well, you're definitely going to win money because that's bigger than the true chance of it happening. So the question to define whether you're a value better or not is just always the hardest part of it, is to say, well, what should the true price be? And that's where a bit of maths, a bit of experience, sometimes some knowledge of the sport, occasionally some inside information, all of those things go into determining what the price should be. But yeah, I think it's I do see people having that debate online, and I often hear people saying, well, that's all right for him, he says he's a value better, I'd rather back winners. I don't think it really works like that. Hopefully I explained that well.
I had a value bet yesterday on the league. It's international break, so you're looking around League One, League Two to find the value. And my brother happened to be at the AFC Wimbledon Port Vale match yesterday. He messaged me and said, AFC Wimbledon depleted by injuries. We've got to get on Port Vale in some way. So,
hang on a minute, just 1 minute. Just let me
Well, you'd be
Yeah,
glad.
no, it does seem to still be working.
You'll be glad I never rang you, Neil.
Oh, okay.
It was getting the value, but doing your brains again.
Oh,
so
no.
we look. I looked at. I said the best way to get them would be on the draw no bet market plus 105. So we bet Port Vale. Well, it missed a little bit, around about even money, about an hour and a half before kickoff. Anyway, the line moved to minus 110 Port Vale, so we've obviously beaten the market closing line value. Port Vale absolutely battered Wimbledon for the first 25 minutes. Loads of chances. Wimbledon had no possession, no shots, nothing. Port Vale hit the bar, hit the post, couldn't score. Then 75 minutes against the runner play. Wimbledon go down the end, go 1-0 up. But luckily enough, we got an 86th minute equaliser.
Oh, so there's no damage?
No damage. But that's get into information.
But I feel like you had a brilliant value situation.
Exactly. But I wouldn't be saying I had a brilliant value situation if I lost 300 quid on it.
Actually, on football, talking about that though, you can, if you want to measure in the long run whether you're getting the value or not, obviously watching your graph go up is one way of doing it. But you could measure your performances against goal expectation, XG. If you're consistently, betting the team that wins the XG battle, it's the Sklansky dollars again. We talked about that in an earlier episode.
On them.
If you're winning Sklansky dollars, well, then you're having value bets, basically. There's a follow-up question to that somebody else asked, which I thought was quite interesting. I couldn't really read the tone. It's hard when you're reading someone's question. I don't know if they were being a little bit snarky. I hope they weren't. But anyway, I'm going to answer it anyway. They were sort of saying that, this Channing idiot, he said on the show a few times that the football markets are all knocked into shape because, the Asian market has huge volumes of money. And by the time Saturday comes around at 3 p.m. or whatever, obviously lots of matches don't kick off at 3 p.m. on a Saturday anymore, but whatever. Millions of bets of $20 and $50 and lots of super high roller syndicates betting in 6-figure, 7-figure sums mean that, the prices should be right by the end. That's why we talk about closing line value, because we're sort of saying that if you measure the price that you've had for your bet against the price at the kickoff, that's why we think that that's a thing worth bothering with, because we're sort of saying that the price at kickoff, all the information is out there now. Everyone's had their bet. It's not really true, because obviously there's huge amounts of business done in running now, and also the syndicates find that betting in running means that they can get more on, and maybe they don't always tip their hand before the game starts. But this guy was basically saying, does it mean it's just impossible to win if you're betting 1-2x, because the markets are so sophisticated? It's the only way to win, to bet really early in the week when you can't hardly get anything on. The limits are so low, and I find that an interesting question, because, we talked about James Easton, for example. He does we were talking about specialising last week, and somebody was asking us about whether you should specialise and how you could be expert in more than one thing. And we were saying that James is superb on French League One. We would really rate him to win. How does he manage to win when the markets are knocked into shape? How can both things be true? What do you think about all that, Nigel?
Well, I think he knows more than the market. I think he's at the top of his game. He understands that league better than anybody else in the world, and I think he understands where the market is wrong straight away. He identifies the problems. With the Premier League at this moment in time, I think the other thing about it is that most of the pro bettors, the people that I speak to, don't really put much money into the market anymore until right at the last minute.
Yeah, everybody wants to wait for the team news now. Yeah, don't they? The liquidity goes up so much after the key.
The key is getting that team news first. If you got that team news first, then you're laughing. And there's a lot of big syndicates and a lot of people out there who get that team news ahead of everybody else. And you see the market move 2 hours before kickoff. All we're trying to do is trying to find prices that we think are value, and they're going to move in our favour. And again, they do move in our favour, but you just need that little bit of luck to go with it and get them home. We give an analysis on the match and try to tell you where we think the match will go, but we're not really saying, this is most of the other thing about the Premier League is that we've only got 10 matches to speak to each week. When you do the European show, The guys have 4 leagues, 40 matches, and they can pick
You've
3.
got dozens of games to look at.
To choose which one's the best. Obviously, James is an expert on that league, but they've got 4 leagues across. We just have the 2. We give an opinion on how the match would go, and we try to think which would be our strongest opinion and where we think their value lies.
Do you think that?
But I think the market. I think the market is. You can beat the market in small size before the match if you've got an advantage. Say for example, Erling Haaland is the most prime example for Manchester City. If you know Erling Haaland isn't playing for Manchester City on the Thursday, then you can beat that line movement.
Yeah, but if you know, doesn't that mean by definition the market's going to pretty much know, or they? Say
that's
he's...
one, but I'm not on about me as in me, Nigel. If someone knows, that's where you could beat them. Team news is the key on that market.
But in terms of looking at a match and saying, I feel like the market will move towards this team because
travel,
they've got the hot hand, they've got the momentum, they've won their last 3 games. This team, they look a bit down. The talk of the manager getting sacked or whatever. Motivation. You could look at a match where one team's highly motivated, one team's not motivated, and say, well, the money will probably come by match day for the one that's highly motivated and not for the one that's having all kinds of problems.
That's definitely towards the end of the season. But I think the biggest mover of market at this moment in time is travel on European football matches. On the Thursday, whoever plays in Europa League, people have long trips in Europe on a Wednesday. That team and the other team, whoever they're playing, will be able to rest at home, work on that game on this weekend where the other team have got prior commitments to go across Europe to come back. And that to me is the biggest market move. And
it's funny though, isn't it? Because it's like that's not exactly secret information. You'd think the market would be able to cope with that very easily and understand that was.
But I think it's factored in. I think it's factored in. But it
doesn't sound like it's factored in enough if the market still moves that way.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, that was quite a good question. I enjoyed that. There was a sort of supplementary bit to it, which was that, does it mean that you should only really play non-standard markets on those big leagues because they're so hard to beat? But, obviously the non-standard markets are correlated. If you're going to bet like goals in the first half or, both teams to score or whatever it is, it's always going to be, they're all a derivative of the 1-2x price and the total goals. So, they're not, unless they're out of whack with those things and aren't moved correctly, you're essentially just doing the same thing in a more complicated way. These 2 questions were very linked, so I'll just sort of merge them into one. Somebody asked, how do you control staking? How do you stop yourself getting carried away when you're on a good run? And a friend of the show, where are we? Let me just get the question first before I give away who's asking it. Jody, it was anyway. Friend of the show, Jody, asked a question, which was this is pretty annoying, isn't it? I can't find it. He was basically saying if you're having a bad run, there we go. Yeah, how do you know when to change tactics when you're on a losing run? I guess my answer to that would be it depends on Jody's part of it. It depends what you call a losing run. I mean, if you've just lost 3 bets on the spin, well, that's 3 even money chances is about plus it's a 12.5% chance that you lose 3 even money chances. That happens all the time. So if you're starting to constantly change according to how the previous 2 bets have done. I don't recommend that at all. And I've made the suggestion before that if you have trouble with these issues, it's not a terrible idea in the morning when you're doing your work and you're trying to decide what are the things I'm likely to bet today. Make a list of all the bets you're going to have and just stick to it. Even if the first 5 things will lose or the first 5 things will win, you just carry on accordingly to what your plan was before. When people have an accumulator, a multi-team parlay, and they often say, I've had 4 winners and the 5th one's just going to start in the late game and I can hedge it now. And I always think, well, it's kind of mad doing these multi-team parlays because you've ended up in a situation where you liked 5 teams all about the same and you put them in a multiple bet, but essentially you're ending up with 3 or 4 times as much money on this last one is going to be way the most important result of the 5. If you'd have been betting in singles at the start, would you have had 5 times as much money on that one? No, you wouldn't, which is a slight argument towards hedging. But I think it's a better argument towards not really doing multi-team parlays in the first place. I don't know. You're a bit of a one for pressing up when you're winning, aren't you? And pulling your oars in when things are not going so well. Are you? Is that how you've survived over the years, Nigel?
That's probably one of the reasons why I've gone went backwards, pressing up at the wrong time. I don't do so much now, Neil. I mean, I'm very, very, very like level stakes pretty much all the time now. Like the stakes won't deviate between good runs and bad runs. They did at the time, and there was one summer where I just couldn't like stop winning, and I just went on and on and on. And it could have got even better once, but then obviously, you know, the years of not having.
And when you had the first loser, say I don't know, say you're betting 200 or 300 or something at evens, and then you have 3 or 4 winners, and you start to think, start having some 500 bets, and now you have a couple more winners, and now you're having 1,000. Did you ever get to a stage where you're like, oh my God, I've had like $4,000 on this?
No, I've never. Do you know, I can probably count on one hand the amount of times I've had 1,000 plus wager. I've had 1,000 plus losses on spread betting multiple thousands of times, and that's where I was betting too much because I was, but actually staking, it's very rare that I've gone. I mean, I was like my staking plan would probably be about £50-60 in those days, and then build it up to probably having 400. And I always found that I never had. I've touched on this before. I never had the capability to turn. I never had the big money to turn a decent pot into a very decent pot. That was when I would get nervous and I didn't do the right things.
You didn't kick on.
Never kicked on. Never. Other people kicked on. I didn't have the ability, and I don't know why that is in my.
But what about what about on the flip side, the chase mentality?
When I've said this before. When I've needed money, if I've needed like £300 and I had 50 quid, I got the money. I went on more. My choices were much better.
Dangerous, I think.
But my choices were much better.
Okay.
I would bet.
No, but I
would be much selective in my choices and better choices rather than when I had some money behind me. I would just be very random and go, okay, don't worry about that. And if I had 4 losing bets,
I'm sure I've said on the show before that I think if I've had an absolutely brilliant day, I should be a bit careful the day after, because I sometimes find that, you know, I have a really good day followed by a really bad day.
Yeah.
And that's partly because, you know, for me to get down, you know, in horses, I play much bigger on things like Royal Ascot or the Cheltenham Festival or Glorious Goodwood, because there's lots of good races and the bookies are keen to take your bets, and you know, they're less keen on a kind of wet Thursday in October. So that means that if I have a really good day at Royal Ascot one day and then the next day I wake up, you know, essentially I can have whatever I want on. All my accounts are full of money. I've got loads of cash in hand. It is a bit tempting to just go crazy, and I think I have slightly done that in the past. I don't really do that anymore. I think I'm quite disciplined now with this NFL. You know, like I said, I have had 7 kind of max bets this week, which sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Really, I mean, there was one week of the season where I only had 11 bets in total. Well, 7 of my bets this week are max bets. I mean, I'm actually slightly nervous about this week, and I'm never nervous about betting. It's ridiculous. But
the other thing, just before we the other thing about is that, you know, the idea of having a big run and then upping your stakes. I think the way that the market is now in terms of affordability checks and people monitoring your patterns of
betting,
hard to do. It's very hard to do. You can't suddenly go from having £100 to £500 because you built up a bank. Suddenly you'll have a compliance issue. People will be in a case within an hour of having your first bet. My friend is going to find out this 400 each way Schneidy double.
Well,
yesterday.
I can tell you it's taken me at least 10 hours this week to get my NFL bets on, which is kind of ridiculous, really. And I haven't even got them all on yet. So there you go. So that's going to be my week. Anyway, that was a few nice questions. I enjoyed those. If anyone's got any similar ones, please feel free to comment in the on the YouTube or put them on Twitter or something like that, and we'll try and pick them up. But yeah, they're good questions, people.
Yeah. I think there's some more we haven't read yet, so we've got a few more that'll come back next week. This is going to be it now for this week. Obviously, coming to you early tomorrow. If you want to follow me, I'll post some stuff on our Instagram page from Riga. It could be quite fun at Because We Win if you want to follow us over there. Any bets I fancy. Going to be cold and wet apparently, so we'll find out what's going on there. But if there's any snippets of value I might find beyond our socials at Because We Win. Obviously it's international break this week, but we will be back with the Premier League show and Extra Time on Thursday and Friday this week. Betting Weekly Live will be Monday through to Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern Time.
By the time we speak to you next, of course, Hearts will have beaten Kilmarnock at minus $1.20.
Have they been betting the week? Have they moving? They're moving south.
There's been money for them. Yeah, I think we could have got. I think the opening was like minus 110. Yeah.
And if you like your American sports, you haven't watched it yet. We've revamped the channel at the moment, and we've got Betting Weekly US Live, which is at 5 p.m. local time in the. So it's 10 o'clock, 5 p.m. in Eastern time.
5 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. in London.
It's a good show. Yeah. Mike Carver and Doug Kazarian go through all the American stuff. Really, really good. So if you haven't watched that, make sure you watch that as well.
Yeah, because the baseball playoffs is the thing at the moment. Yeah,
that's 5 Eastern time, 10 o'clock here over in the UK. If you want to watch your American sports, that's to get into a very, very good period of American sports betting. And the final thing, as I say every week, what they got to do, Neil? Please.
They've definitely got to subscribe, definitely hit like, but also get the newsletter. Why would you not? Yes. It's free. The newsletter's a great thing.
But it's out Monday morning. bettingweeklystudios.com is where you need to go there. Register for the newsletter and the insider. Last week, I think we had a clean sweep of bets. I think it's 3 bets, all 3 won. Certainly 2 out of 2 on the tennis. And I think Steve Wiss's football bet won as well. All exclusive, and there's going to be loads of exclusive stuff coming in. It's on my agenda to jazz up the newsletter, and I will be jazzing it up when I get back from the international break. So there's be lots of competitions, hopefully some competitions that you can get involved on the channel as well. Lots of stuff there, and it's all going to be exclusive for subscribers. So make sure you subscribe at bettingweeklystudios.com. All free. Loads more content from the app Because We Win team. Neil, enjoy your day. I know you're heading off on a long train journey. I'll be following. I'll get up nice and early tomorrow to follow England, where England are going to win 2-3-4-0 against Latvia. Ladder them up. And
Christian McCaffrey. Go on, my son.
Take care. Hit the subscribe. Speak to you all later on, and have a good week. Take care.